everyone, I'm Rebecca and welcome back to my sewing room. So today we are going to complete this Gunne Sax look by making a velvet bodice to go with this dress. Now, if you haven't seen the first part of this project, which is the actual making of the dress, I will stick that link down in the description below. But I have made this as part of a costume collaboration called Gunne Sax hosted by Gwen's Shenanigans, where we are all making Christmas or holiday or winter themed dresses that are inspired by Gunne Sax dresses of the 1970s and 1980s. So this is the dress that I have made, and now I am going to be making the velvet bodice to go over it. A lot of Gunne Sax dresses have either like velvet panels or velvet bodices. To my knowledge, most of them were actually built into the dress, but I wanted the versatility of having an optional bodice that I could add and wear with the dress as opposed to one that was always built in, because laundering and caring for velvet is annoying. So I have this velvet, which I did launder, and hopefully it won't show up that it is crushed in certain areas because I think it got a little crushed in the washing machine, but it was the perfect color to go with this. It really, I mean, it's the exact same color as the plaid that I used in here. So I thought, since I found it at the same time as the fabric, it must be fate, and therefore I must make this bodice. And it dawned on me this morning, why would I bother reinventing the wheel again? When this bodice pattern fits me so splendidly, maybe I could just use this for the velvet bodice as well. Now, the velvet bodice, I will probably make it maybe just a tiny bit smaller in the center front, like cut away a ½ inch or so, just so that I could lace it as opposed to like wear it, you know, where it just fits me. So I'm thinking I might do that, and that way it gives me that little bit of lacing room. And then obviously the neckline is also not going to be as high, and this is going to be just a sleeveless bodice, so it's not going to be quite as wide here either. So I will take the shoulders in by probably about ½ inch on each side, I'd say, and I'm going to lower the neckline so that the neckline sits more like about here as opposed to up here. So I'm going to take down a good 3½ or more inches, but continue that sweetheart shape. And so I'm just going to take the same exact pattern pieces, and I think I'm just going to go for it, because if it's a little too high, I can just cut it down. And I'm going to make it a little bit longer so that it can go below here and go past this belt area as well. So let's go do some scary cutting without a mock-up. So as it turns out, I did kind of make a mock-up. It's this. This is actually the lining or like inner structure of the bodice. This is just cotton canvas, and then it's going to have the velvet over the top of it. But I realized, like, I needed this to be able to have the boning channels on this, because I don't want the boning channels to show through the velvet, because the less stitches that I have to do on the velvet, the better. So the velvet will just be over. So anyway, I cut everything out of cotton canvas, and I did my alterations on here, lengthening it, lowering the neckline, narrowing the straps, opening up the arm size a little, etc. But it's not quite right. So, I mean, as you can see, it's too big at the bust. It's overlapping at the bust. Down here at the waist, it is somehow like a little on the small side. It's probably going to be okay once I add the lacing and boning and stuff, because I don't know how the waist got smaller. It's literally the exact same size as this pattern. So yeah, I think it's just that it's like not actually closed. Like this would fit if it was closed. And I flared it out a little at the hips, but I kind of feel like I probably didn't flare it out enough. I flared it out on this seam, a little bit on this seam, and then also in the dart in the back and in the center back. I flared it out all of those places because I knew that I've had problems like that before. And I lowered the neckline obviously quite a bit. The thing that I've actually already done here since I tried it on the first time is that the straps were really, really long, like this going on. I haven't fixed this one yet. And so I undid that seam and took some out of it, and it's much better now. I probably maybe could even lose a little bit more, because the one other thing that is going on that's weird is I'm getting this, which is like it wants to be darted, but that's weird because this, as in the bodice, like the dress bodice, didn't need to be darted. So I don't know why that's having that issue, and I don't know how to fix it other than doing a dart, which I don't really want since this is already a princess themed bodice. You're not supposed to need darts in a princess themed bodice, kind of is like the point. But yeah, I'm not really sure otherwise how to get rid of that. So I might play around with trying to figure that out. And then other than that, I think I'm just going to kind of fold in. I extended this 1.5 inches out in the center front, and that was both for seam allowance, because originally it was cut on the fold, and also so that I could fold it in, stitch it, and have a boning channel and a place for eyelets to go. I'm planning to do these eyelets on my old Viking's Emerald sewing machine, because I have eyelet plates on there, so I can actually make functional eyelets, not the decorative eyelets that 99% of machines come with. These are functional. So that is my plan for the eyelets, but yeah, I'm just not sure what's going on there. So I've got to fix that, and then yeah, I'll fold this in a little bit more so that there's the same gap up here at the top that there is down here at the bottom. And I did also cut down the neck a little bit in the back. I think I need to cut it down more. I'm also wondering if the back's not a little too large, like right up here in the center. I think it's a little on the large side, and I need to kind of narrow that out, taper that out a little bit, but I might dip the neck down as well. It's hard to see in the camera monitor, so I'll have to look at that in the mirror. But I mean, so we're close, but not as close as I would have expected from a pattern that I used for the dress that I am wearing. So that took what felt like forever, but I think I finally have it all right. So obviously I will have to trace this and make a pattern of it because it's significantly different than what I started with. The straps in particular, it was weird because I kept having to shorten the straps but then scoop out the armscye more, and that seemed to fix the sticking out here problem. So now, I mean, it's still a little bit, and I don't know what to do about that last little bit because I feel like every time I put it on, it winds up doing it more, but whatever at this point. I wound up even having to lower out the neckline, both in front and back, because I kept having to take the straps up. So I don't know, it just feels a little silly of where we wound up with, but here we go. So I am going to probably not cut this out of velvet tonight because I'm tired. I'll cut it out tomorrow, but here is what we have so far. So it has been at least a couple of days since I last talked to you about this project. Yesterday I cut out the pieces of velvet, sewed them all together, created the pattern from the canvas that I used for the mock-up and will be the lining, and re-sewed those pieces back together. The day before that, or whenever I had last talked to you, I cut out, I think, all of the pieces of boning. I'm using German plastic boning for this. You can get German plastic boning in a roll. I don't remember where I got it, but I will look it up and put it in the description. But it comes in a roll like this, and then you just cut it. I cut it with like metal scissors because I don't want to ruin my scissors, and then I just kind of round the edges with that metal cutter thing again, and then sandpaper it so that it's not sharp on the ends, because otherwise it is quite sharp. And I'm planning on putting 2 of these on the side seams, and then like 1 on every other seam or dart, and also 1 in between in a couple of places. So there's not a ton of pieces of boning. I think there's like maybe 15 or so that I cut out. I don't remember exactly, but I've cut them all out. I haven't rounded all the edges, and I'm going to be on the seams. I'm going to be applying the boning within the seam allowance of the canvas. Where there's not a seam, I'm going to be using bias tape strips to apply that boning. I personally find that bias tape strips, like the store-bought kind, they actually work way better than twill tape for boning. Twill tape, I always have boning poking through twill tape. That's like every single corset that I've made with twill tape casings, the boning pokes through the twill tape. It just like finds a way through. The bias tape, on the other hand, usually is actually pretty good, and I find myself often patching up those poked through places of the twill tape with pieces of bias tape. Anyway, there was a few days that I just wasn't really feeling this project, so that is why it is now later. In fact, today is Christmas Day, so happy belated Christmas for the time that you will be seeing this. And that's probably because you won't be seeing this until January, because right now the bodice looks like this, and I have to finish this by tomorrow if this video goes up on this Tuesday. So there may be another project that you will see before this video, and if you see that other project first, you'll know why, because I just haven't really been feeling this. Like, I think I like the dress so much as is that the bodice has felt kind of unnecessary. And then it's also like Christmas week and there's just been, you know, other stuff going on. And honestly, I just put this on for the first time. I mean, it's just like the velvet shell, but I feel like it detracts from the bodice or from the dress and not adds to. I mean, I don't love it, but I already started this project and I promised you a bodice, so I'm gonna finish it and then probably never actually wear it with this dress again. Anyway, all of that said, on that happy note, I am going to get back to working on this. I'm going to finish rounding all of the boning channels and put those extra boning channels in there, create the ones that are from the seam allowances, and put all the boning in. Once I put all of that boning in, then I should be able to, my plan is to just put these two like together, you know, with right sides facing out, as in the correct side inside and the correct side outside, the velvet side facing out. And then I was planning on just like binding around all the edges. Of course, I don't have bias tape that matches this, so I don't know. And then the last thing that I'll do will be the eyelets. So we'll see how this goes. Again, not feeling this project, so I don't know how it's gonna go. All of the boning is now all smoothed out and inside of its channels, which I've finished creating. The channels are open currently at the bottom, but they are closed up at the top inside up here. And then I have gone around the front sides and around the arm sides, neckline, everything like that, and pinned in place so that the lining is in place with the velvet. Editing Rebecca here. I actually wound up undoing the pins on the center front and pinning those and sewing them together right sides together and then turning that part inside out, because otherwise I wouldn't get a clean line on the velvet for the boning channel. So now what has to happen is I have to go along all of the bottom channels and close them off. That's my plan. And then I'm going to also baste around all of the outsides, including along the bottom. Obviously I can't pin that shut until I have closed off the boning channels. Once that is done, then I can create the boning channels for the center front. There's going to be two. So there's going to be boning channel, row of eyelets, and then boning channel. I was really hoping to not have to put the boning in the channels before doing the eyelets, but I think in hindsight, like it's going to be annoying to turn around the machine for sure, because you have to rotate the whole thing, but it just seemed like it would be easier to do it all now. I don't know why, but that way I could just close everything off and like have it all connected. That was my idea. So I probably didn't have to. Probably could have left the boning for last, but like it's also, I probably won't put, I don't know. I probably won't put the boning in the channels right around the eyelets, because then it will be hard for the foot to go down also. It's also just going to be like, because this is velvet, I don't know how to make it not scar, because the way that you do an eyelet plate is that the ankle shaft has no foot attached to it and it literally just goes down, and you pop this over a little piece that has like a little circle that sticks up, and the stitches zigzag around that little circle where there's like one place where there's an opening. And I will try to film that. I don't know if I'll be able to, because you have to turn the bodice as you're doing it, but I will try to film that. And having the boning there, like that ankle is gonna get in the way, the boning's gonna get in the way of the ankle, and also the velvet itself is probably gonna scar because of the ankle sitting on the velvet. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. Again, I don't really care that much about this project at this point. I just want it done 3 days ago, or not at all. Once that's done, I'm going to have to figure out the binding. That'll be the only thing left after the eyelets. I don't know what I'm doing for the binding. I'm pretty sure I have enough fabric left where I could make binding out of velvet, but also that sounds like really awful to sew with and really thick to sew with. So I don't know. So this is where we are so far. All of the bones are in. I've used an awl to make all of the holes for the eyelets. I'm now going to grab out my old Viking machine and do the eyelets, or attempt to do them. I really, honestly, I had wanted to do grommets like I realized that earlier, but I have a grommet kit for size, I think 00 grommets, of which I have 4. I have a whole package of like 000 grommets. No way to set them. I have no idea why I have them or where they came from. But yeah, so eyelets it is, because otherwise I've got like those huge ones that you can get from Joann's that are like the 2 pieces with the, yeah, they're just really bad. So I'm gonna try to do the machine eyelets. Again, it's stupid to do that with it already boned, but here we are. This is my old Viking Emerald 183 that I got back in 2010. And as far as I know, the Vikings are the only machines that I've ever had the functional eyelet plates, and they don't sell them anymore. So this is one of the functional eyelet plates. I also have another one for a slightly larger eyelet. I am planning to go with the smaller one because generally speaking, I find that this works better. Like I had gotten the bigger one at first and then found out that the smaller one exists. So the way that you use this is that first off, you want to take your foot off. So you slide that off and then you drop your feed dogs down. There's a little lever in the back of this machine to drop the feed dogs down. And then this has little pegs right here that go in to sit right there, though to be honest I put my bobbin first because it slightly goes over the thing. And then generally I tape this down with Scotch tape so that it doesn't try to move while I am moving, but you see that the ankle just kind of rests on there, which is why it's probably going to make scars as it goes around, so that's not fun. Anyway, I'm going to get this all threaded up and get my Scotch tape, and I will try to show you how to do an eyelet, but I'm not really sure where to put this camera to do so. Sorry for some of the focus issues on this next clip, but this is how you do machine eyelets with an eyelet plate. First, I widen the eyelet with an awl, then I fit the eyelet hole around the little peg area of the eyelet plate, using the tip of the awl to make sure the fibers are fully off to the sides of the peg. I have my machine set to a 3.5 width zigzag, and then you just drop the ankle down and start stitching, while turning your project clockwise. Turning it clockwise ensures that the front flat edge of the ankle won't get caught on your project as you turn. Make sure you're turning evenly so there are no bare spots, and slightly overlap where you finish onto where you started. You can see why putting the boning into the channels before doing this was a bad idea, since it's hard to get the bodice through the tiny opening of this machine. But that's it. Now repeat this all 17 more times. All of the eyelets are now completed, and frankly, there's really not that much scarring that happened either, so I'm impressed with that. All this needs now is the binding, and hopefully I can get that done in time to take pictures tomorrow, potentially in the snow, because it just started snowing a little bit ago, and actually get this video up in time. Also, this was my Christmas present to myself. I got Kirsten on eBay. I'm so excited. She goes really nicely with my Samantha and my Felicity. I'm just really excited, and I might need to do some 1850s projects. It is now Sunday, and the only thing left for the bodice is the binding. So I am going to attempt to do binding out of the velvet. I left myself kind of like a piece where I can get a bias-y strips out of it, because I will need more than one, so it will be multiple bias-y strips. And I'm going to attempt to bind the arm's eye, neckline, and hemline out of these bias-y strips. I don't know how possible this is going to be. I'm almost certain that there will involve scarring if I sew the reverse side on the machine, which is my plan. So yeah, I'm not sure how this is going to go, but we're going to give it a try. I'm making this as double fold bias tape, by the way, so I have made several strips that are 2 inches wide, and now I'm going to sew them end to end, and hopefully that's enough. I mean, I can cut more shorter strips, but they are getting progressively shorter, and hopefully this will be enough to do everything that I need to do, and it will actually work out okay and go through the machine okay. It is now done. The binding is on. It's atrociously done. It is the thickest binding ever known to man, and it was a mistake doing it out of the velvet because it is so thick and so awful. But I mean, it's done. It fits mostly. There's a weird wrinkle right here. The binding is so bulky that it's making the neckline come away from the body, and I'm guessing that's happening other places too that I just can't tell. And of course, I finished it about 45 minutes to an hour after it got dark. So no going outside in the snow and taking pictures of this for this video today. I am going to try to wake up early tomorrow before work and do pictures then, and I'm going to go edit the rest of the video now and just edit that little snippet into the end tomorrow so that this video can go live to my patrons tomorrow because we are on a deadline. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It fits. I like the color, I like the texture, but velvet was probably a mistake and it is just, yeah, bulky. So we'll see how it looks with the actual dress tomorrow. Well, since it's quiet out here today, I might try recording this outro out here and see how this works. So obviously there's snow on the ground. That's the most exciting thing about this video to me personally. We don't get snow very often here. We had snow for 2 days last February and now today. So we almost had a white Christmas. It was very exciting. And now of course dogs are gonna start barking. Anyway, this bodice, it is very handy in the fact that it allows me to wear this dress outside in the snow because it does give a lot of warmth, which is fantastic. Otherwise, it would be far too cold to wear this outside. I think it's about, I think it said it was like 17 or 18 degrees Fahrenheit today. Maybe it's up to 20, I'm not really sure. But yeah, it does not get that cold here. And I'm surprised that other than my toes, I am actually quite comfortable right now. So that is great. I am wearing another long sleeve shirt underneath this, and I have fleece lined tights and leggings and thermal socks on. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good overall. But I do think that it actually does look really cute with this dress. I think I still like the dress better without it, but I mean, you can tell me what you think. Do you like it better without the bodice or with the bodice? I think it works well either way. I do think that normally I probably won't wear it with the bodice, but I do feel like it makes it a little more hobbity, which I'm totally here for. I think it has turned my like Gunne Sax Christmas dress kind of into a Hobbit dress, which is very fun and again, totally good with me. So overall, I'm glad that I at least did the bodice. However, it has kind of put me off of wanting to make bodices, like boned bodices for a while, so we'll see what happens with that. Anyway, I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please go ahead and click the thumbs up icon. Do you like my Chippendale mittens? And if you like to see more videos like this from me, please go ahead and click subscribe and the little bell icon to be notified every time I post a new video. I do post videos here on YouTube twice a week, with my sewing vlogs like this out on Tuesdays and other costuming content out on Saturdays, but I post every day over on my Instagram, so please go follow me on Instagram. That's at Lady Rebecca Fashions. And if you'd like to help support all of the work that I do on this channel, I do have a link to my Patreon and my Ko-fi down in the description below. They even have ears. I'd also like to give a special shout out to my Edwardian level patrons, Sharon and Julie. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas if you celebrated that, and I hope that you all have a wonderful New Year coming up this week. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Happy sewing!